Well, the White House says that George Papadopoulos was not a major player in the campaign. They described his role as extremely limited, that he was a volunteer. But this picture from the president's Instagram account from March of 2016 shows him sitting at the table with the president. And you can see the picture is titled National Security Meeting, and that's Papadopoulos in the center left of the picture.
We are joined now by attorney David Weinstein. He's a former assistant U.S. attorney.
Glad you're with us, and let's talk about this. First of all, the indictments, the Papadopoulos guilty plea. Based on what we learned today, what is your biggest takeaway?
Biggest takeaway on this is Papadopoulos' plea and his information. He's cooperating. He's been cooperating since early in this year, and that's a sure signal that he's the first one who provided inside information to the special prosecutor so they could continue to build their investigation. His cooperation signals that there is a case there and it's going to go forward.
Cooperation meaning that he is giving them information, he's answering questions. I've also read that maybe he has been wearing a wire for prosecutors to try to get some more information for them.
If you read in the factual statement, it says that he came in January to give a statement, and that's where he gave his first false statement. He then came back in February, and if you read along, he deactivated his Facebook account, he started using a different cell phone number, and then he continued to cooperate with the special prosecutor. So he may very well have been either wearing a wire or getting communications over Facebook that the special prosecutor intends to use as he goes forward.
And the White House very much distancing itself from all of these three men. What do you make of this now in terms of the collusion accusations?
They need to prove that it was not an isolated incident. By the White House distancing themselves at least from Papadopoulos by saying he was just a volunteer, he wasn't part of the campaign, they're starting to put that wall up to say he was acting on his own. A lot of times people do things so that they can be part of the inner sanctum. So it would seem to me that the White House is claiming that's what he was doing. It doesn't really read that way from the information that's contained in those facts. He did what he did at the bequest of the campaign. There are other campaign officials that are mentioned in his statement of fact. Not named specifically, but by looking through it, very well could be Manafort who they're talking about.
Well, do you see the indictment of Manafort and Gates as a tool to get them to cooperate as well?
That's all that it is. If you look at every page of that, that's the one true statement that came out of the White House. There is nothing in the Manafort and Gates indictment that says anything about collusion with the Russians. What it is it's a message, and it's a not so subtle message from the special prosecutor. When he first met with everybody in January, whenever he started talking to the people, he said, I'm investigating this, and I intend to bring charges. Well, he brought those charges. They weren't just necessarily the collusion charges. Manafort and Gates have been indicted. They will eventually be approached again, and they will be told, see, we told you we were going to indict you. You can either cooperate with us, perhaps plead to one of the counts in there that carries a low statutory cap, and look at a small amount of jail time, or you can go forward, and then we're going to unload the rest of the indictment on you, which may include other allegations. With Papadopoulos, he came in, he cooperated. He's looking at probation. His guideline range is 0 to 4 months. He's not going to jail at any time in the foreseeable future, if at all.
We want to play a little bit of, because one of the attorneys representing the president appeared on CNN earlier today. I want to listen to what he said and then get your reaction.
So are you concerned that he's fully cooperating now, and over the course of these past few months he may have implicated others?
No, I'm not concerned. Because I'm completely convinced, as I was since the outset, that not only is there no Russian collusion, there's no obstruction. I'm not concerned about it. We're doing our job and have a good relationship with the special counsel's office as far as information goes. I'm not concerned about this at all, and no one else is either.
So Will Blitzer asking about George Papadopoulos' cooperation and whether or not he's implicating others. He says the president is not concerned. Should they be concerned?
You should always be concerned about the unknown. The one thing you don't want to do is ask a question you don't know the answer to. They don't know who exactly he's spoken to when he was in his cooperation mode. They don't know what conversations he's had. They only know what their client tells them. And if their client is telling them, I never talked to him after such and such a date, I never had any conversations with him on such and such a date, then the lawyer can only feed back on that information that they're getting. But he has to be a little bit concerned. He has to be concerned about what Papadopoulos has said, what other evidence they have, and what other information they can use to get to what they believe is the top step of this indictment.
And these are only the three people we're seeing right now. I mean, there's a lot of investigation going on behind the scenes, and Papadopoulos wasn't even on anyone's radar, really. Manafort was, but Papadopoulos wasn't. That wasn't an expected indictment.
It wasn't an expected indictment. However, because of the statute of limitations on some of the charges that are contained in the Manafort indictment, today was the outing day. Today was the day that the charges were coming out, and as long as they're coming out, you might as well send that message again across the bow to Manafort and Gates, which is, we've got Papadopoulos in our pocket, and oh, by the way, he's been cooperating with us since earlier this year, so perhaps you might have had a conversation with him that you might want to think about what you said and when you said it.
David Weinstein is a former assistant U.S. attorney. Kind of you to join us and help us sort of sort through all of this stuff. A big, big day, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about it. Hope you'll join us again.
My pleasure. Always glad to help.
Thanks, David.